Alex Berry here with Cobalt Boats. Today we're going to talk about the brand new Cobalt A29. This is a brand new boat from the keel up with a brand new running surface for better stability. It's got a swim platform with new innovation, the likes of which you've never seen before. It has new styling, and it's just a wonderful new boat that you're really going to enjoy. Let's start up here in the bow area of the boat. This is very unique and most importantly very large. As you can see, we have seating for 2 or 3 full-size adults across this forward-facing seat, more seating facing aft up on the front, so you can easily put 5 adults up here and everybody's going to have a place to seat and be comfortable. The styling is really slick. We've got brand new bow rails that are in tune with the rest of the lines of the boat. We have pop-up cleats. We have a big anchor locker right here that is self-draining. So any water that gets in there from rain or whatever simply goes into a compartment where the chain is stored. It's an all-chain windlass, by the way, as all Cobalts are, and simply goes over the side. It does not enter the boat itself. On a gas cylinder, as all of our anchor lockers are, so that you don't have to worry about that lid falling on you when you're running the anchor windlass. To run the windlass, the first thing you have to do is to pull off the safety lanyard. You always want to use this when the anchor is housed so that should there be any type of a mishap with the windlass system, you won't drop it by accident. The controller is right here, and additionally there is a second controller at the driver's station. That is to be used only if you can't come up here to run it from the nose of the boat. Windlasses, as good as they are, sometimes need a little bit of coaxing along, and you want to be up here monitoring it as you're pulling in all of that chain. It's recommended that you would normally run your windlass from right here, but on a really rough day when it might not be the best idea to have people up here in the nose, you can run it from the dash. Storage underneath both front cushions. A nice flip out here, so if you've got a couple of adults up here, they've got nice armrests on both sides. That is structural, by the way. It's all stainless, stuff that we make here at Cobalt. In the floor of this forward cockpit is a self-draining storage area that is lockable, covered with the floor covering, but underneath that we've got a lid that opens. It's on a gas cylinder, got lots of room to put stuff that is maybe going to get wet. The windshield of this exciting new boat is exceptionally large with the walkthrough over on the port side. This gives the driver unbelievable visibility with this one-piece glass windshield 3/4 of the way across the boat. Then on the port side we have the opening door. Once again, great visibility for the passenger. We have the traditional Cobalt stainless braces, and we have the traditional Cobalt walk-through door. It's a one-piece door. It simply latches right there. There is no floor barrel bolt that you're used to seeing on some of the smaller Cobalts. Once you close that door and the windshield closes over to it, it makes a nice air gap so that a lot of cooler air will stay out of the cockpit when you're running. There's a lot of things to show you up in this port front corner of the cockpit. Behind the composite walk-through door, there's a flip-out trash container with a removable insert. Very handy. And behind that, we have a glove box, lockable. And above that glove box, we have an insert where there's a phone charging port where you can just lay your smartphone on top of it and it'll charge if your phone is set up properly. Additionally, there is USB ports, 12-volt plug-in ports, etc. All of that stuff is all over here on the port side of this forward cockpit area. This exciting new boat has an exciting new dash. We are continuing to use the Garmin screens, and we're up to a 12-inch version, 2 of them in this boat, which we'll talk about in a few moments. But the dash is very, very wide and has everything right in front of you, right at your fingertips. All your engine controls, as far as bilge pumps, blowers, all of that sort of stuff. Stereo system controls, trim tabs, all of that stuff is right here. When you first board the boat without the ignition turned on, your screens are black. So when you turn on your ignition, it starts the boot up procedure on the Garmin's. And like any computer, there is a time delay. Having said that, you can still start and operate your engine before these are ready to go. Once the computers come to this point, you simply touch the I agree on either screen and it will bring up the factory settings. It'll have your navigation chart on the left side with all these different indications, your GPS speed, GPS heading, the depth, the time of the day, a GPS position, and of course the chart, which it will see depending on where the boat is. Over on the right side, we have this initial screen with just the basics. It has your engine RPM and your GPS speed. And then it has what appears to be partial gauges, or gauges that are hidden, but actually they're designed that way. If you study this very carefully, you'll see that this upper right-hand indication is your fuel tank level. And although you're only seeing about a third of a total gauge, you'll see that it goes all the way from empty to full. And right now it's showing a little over a quarter of a tank. So that is the way it's designed. These other gauges over here on the side, which are only half gauges, are once again showing the complete spectrum of the indicated function. For example, the oil pressure or the engine water temperature. It shows the complete spectrum in that half gauge. Over on the left side, we have our water depth and temperature, and we have basic functions such as voltage, oil pressure, engine hours, that sort of thing. On all of these systems, you can reset these to whatever you would like. For example, let's say you really don't want the voltage right there. You can push and hold, and it brings up a replace data screen over here on the right. You hit replace data. Let's go to engine, and let's put in coolant temperature. Right there. This now changes to coolant temperature. It's showing 70 degrees because the engine's cold. And it has permanently changed it. If I want to go back, I can once again hit that, replace data, engine, and I forget what we had there, voltage, I believe. So you can scroll down till we get to voltage, touch that, it goes back to voltage. And you can do that with any of these indications. Over here on the left screen, you notice there's a home button, whereas the right screen doesn't have that. You press the home button, and you have three different ways of getting at your navigation screen. If you push the cruising button, it not only changes this a little bit, not much, but it changes the readings on the right-hand screen. And there's 3 or 4 different positions that you can select, and on each one of these positions, you can choose exactly what you want it to say. For example, let's play with the voltage again. Let's say you don't care about having the voltage right there. You push and hold, it brings up replace data, and you can push engine or fuel or whatever you want to, and let's put down oil pressure. So it changed it to oil pressure. Hit back button, it goes to a full screen. You can hit it again, let's go back to voltage, replace data, engine, scroll down to voltage, touch that, changes it back to voltage, hit your back button, you're back to your home screen. We can go back over to the left screen and hit home, and we have selected the cruising to get here. Let's go to anchoring. When we do that, it brings our chart back up, but it also brings over our depth readout in a chart form. It shows us digitally the depth under the boat right now, and it shows a screen which is moving across, and you can actually see the contour of the bottom as you're going along. It's pretty handy, especially for those guys that want to do some fishing. You can see where the highs and the low are in the areas that you've just been. Back to the left screen, go back to home, go to nav chart. It doesn't change anything over here, but we go back to cruising, and it's going, and then go back to, we've now got a home button over here on the right, hit home button, goes back to our original screen. These things are infinitely adjustable. You can set it up exactly the way you want to. No matter where you have everything set, when you shut off the ignition, of course the screens are going to go black again. When you power it back up and go through the boot up sequence, it's going to come back to this screen. Just below the Garmin screens, all the way across the dash, are your individual electrical connection switches. For example, your horn button, turn on a bilge blower, you have an indicator light, logo lights, which are on the outside of the boat, dock lights, etc. The one I want to point out is the bilge pump. This is an override. The bilge pump is an automatic pump, as it is in all Cobalts, and regardless of the position of the battery switch, the bilge pump is always energized. Mounted on the lower right dash panel are the trim tab switches with tab position indicator lights. And next to the tab switches is the Volvo engine screen that displays data directly from the engines as a backup, in case there is any confusion with information on the main touchscreens. There is one switch that's hidden on the underneath surface of the dash. It's for changing the color of the LED accent lighting. Of course, we have the Cobalt tilt steering, which is a standard on all Cobalts. The throttle control, which is the Volvo control, is ergonomically designed to fit right into your hand, whether you're up on the elevated part of the seat with the flip up or with the flip down and you're sitting down low, the controls right here. And included with it are your power trim controls and many other engine functions, along with your safety lanyard. Right next to the driver's legs are switches that control the seat, which is the aftermost switch. It runs the seat fore and aft electrically. And the forwardmost rocker switch is the Windlass Controller. We talked about that earlier, and you only run the windlass from here when it's unsafe to be in the forward part of the boat due to weather conditions. The A29 has a day cabin in the cockpit rather than just a typical head compartment. This compartment is located under the driver's dash, and there's lots of room in it. Huge door, one control right there to open it, exposing the cabin itself with the seating for 2 or 3 adults. Your toilet is there, and it can be converted into a small sleeping area. It also has the ability to be air conditioned, and the air conditioner in this particular model is an automotive style that does not require either shore power or a generator. It's actually being powered by the engine of the boat itself, very similar to the way the air conditioning works in your car. It's a very unique system that works beautifully. Continuing on in the cockpit, we have storage galore. But let's start with the Cobalt flip lip seat. Cobalt has been building the flip lip seat for over 30 years now. And this is the perfect example of it, is on this driver's chair. You can flip it down and it becomes a standard seat where the driver is behind the windshield on a cooler day. And he can also raise it up so that he can sit here above the windshield, get some wind in the face, but most importantly, you can see a lot better, especially when you're pulling the kids on the tube, that sort of thing. Great visibility with this in the up position. And it gives you plenty of room behind the steering wheel for close-in maneuvering. When you want to be standing up, maneuvering around a dock, you want to be able to see really well, and this gives you the room to do just that. Working our way across the cockpit, in the floor we have a lockable storage area. Lots and lots of space down there for whatever you want to put down there. Over on the port side, we have the forward-facing passenger seat. It has a flip backrest so that you can pull it forward so that your passenger can be facing aft to watch the kids on the tube or to be in line with the rest of the folks in the aft cockpit during those times when you want to just sit around and chat. In this position, the bottom cushion will come up and can be removed out of the way, exposing the forward end of a huge storage area over here on the port side. As you can see, this storage area is immense. It goes all the way down to the stringer system. It is lined. It has a lot of different things in here. This particular boat has the optional table assembly, which is stored in here along with the stainless steel support leg. It has the optional flag stored away along with the air blower for those air toys. At the very back of the compartment is the electrical panel, which is very important. And most importantly is the battery switch. Right now it's in the on position. The switch is horizontal. When it's off, it's vertical with that arrow pointing up. What's unique about this system is that's all you need to worry about, is it being on or off. The boat does have multiple batteries, and it will automatically select what battery needs to be charged. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to switch from position 1 to position 2 or both or any of that stuff. You just turn it on and start your engine and off you go. If by chance one of the batteries is low, it will charge that up. But what's really unique about the system is when you're out on the anchor, whatever, running all the different equipment in the boat, but without the engine on, the boat is running on one battery only. It has isolated one of the batteries for starting. So you can be out all day long on the anchor with the stereo going, lights on, running pumps and blowers and whatever you want to, and run a battery dead. You're going, uh-oh, what do I do to restart? All you do is turn the key and start, because the system has isolated a battery. That battery will now be used to start the engine, and as soon as the engine starts, it will automatically select that battery that's down and start charging it back up. You don't have to worry about it. And if all else fails, there is a third position to that switch down there, and it's marked all. And you just flip it about 30 degrees clockwise, and it will go to the all position, and it literally electrically pulls the two batteries together as one for emergency starting. That's all there is to that system. Additionally, on this panel down here, we have several circuit breakers. The boat is all circuit breaker controlled. And for example, the windlass, the lighting, pumps, blowers, all of those have their circuit breakers down there. And there's a placard right down below that shows what each one of them is and how to reset it if need be. On the starboard side of the cockpit, we've got another bench seat, room enough for a couple of adults, and underneath that, we have storage for a removable ice chest. The aft part of the cockpit is formed by the motor box with a large seat cushion for 3 or 4 adults. The backrest is a flip rest, and it can be in forward or aft position. And in this position, the passengers facing aft have a great view of the back of the boat. Keep in mind that this area back here on the sun deck, if you will, cannot be used when the boat is underway. That is against the law. So all your passengers do need to be inside the cockpit when you're underway, regardless of the speed of the boat. As you can see, the sun deck is an immense area, especially with this backrest in this forward position for lounging on the sun deck. In addition to that, there are 2 flip-up backrests aft on the sun deck, which you can raise for seating back here. Once again, only when the boat is at rest. You've got 2 of them. Over on the port side, we have drink holders, stereo speakers, and an additional stereo control that's identical to the one on the dash. So the operation between the 2 is identical. Over here on the starboard side, as you can see, is the entryway from the swim platform area into the cockpit. Very low, very secure for coming aboard, as with all Cobalts. On the starboard side, outboard, is a speaker and the control for Cobalt's brand new splash and stow system, which we're going to talk about next. In addition, the hydraulic swim platform control is there, along with the plug-in for the optional battery charging system. You will find the switch to raise and lower the motor box hatch is mounted here in the walkthrough as well. And by the way, the motor box can also be opened manually. Now that the motor box has been raised, you can see that the accessibility to the engine and all the related components is outstanding. The Volvo engine is all serviceable right here on the front of the engine. You can check your coolant level right here in this tank. Additionally, over here on the port side, we have our dipstick for checking the engine oil. We have a flushing attachment to where you can flush the engine very easily, should you be running in the salt water occasionally. And this blue knob right here is for winterization. You simply pull this bayonet pin right below it and push down on that, and that will drain the engine completely for winterization. Keep in mind that you do not push that down when the boat is in the water, because the water will siphon and you'll get water in the bilge. So that is when the boat is up on a hoist or on the trailer. Great access to your batteries, pumps, blowers, battery charger, and lots of storage on both sides. When you close the motor box, the underside of this fiberglass motor box has a huge gasket on it, which makes contact with this fiberglass lip all the way around, keeping the engine noise back here in the engine room rather than letting it out into the cockpit. The boat is very, very quiet. Kobalt is introducing the brand new Splash and Stow system. This is an industry first. It is stored back here underneath the back end of the sun deck area. The controls, as mentioned earlier, are right over here, and the filler tubing and so forth is in this storage area right underneath my feet. To operate the system, you simply open this assembly right here with this latch. It's on gas cylinders so that it'll come up by itself and hold itself in place. You will see that there's a float attached to it so that when you deploy it before it has air in it, which is the proper procedure, it won't sink, and it will stay attached to the boat itself until you have aired it up. Airing it up is a very simple procedure. Over here, as mentioned earlier, there's a storage locker right in the walkthrough, and in that there is a filler tube, and you simply plug it in to this port on the back of the boat and on the port on the Splash and Stow itself. It makes no difference which end is which. They're identical. And then you will turn on the air pump to the inflate side and it will air it up. When it gets full, it will automatically shut itself off. And then you will undo this from the Splash and Stow, detach it from the spindle that it is wound out on, and you're ready to use it. When you're done with it at the end of the day, you simply reverse the procedure. You will open this up. You will hook the Splash and Stow to the spindle. There are tie wraps for doing that right there. You will hook your tube on again, put the switch in the deflate position and turn the air pump back on, and it will evacuate the air out of the Splash and Stow. You then wind it in with the controller, and at the very end of it, there is a purge valve that you can open just to let out any residual air, and you wind it the rest of the way onto the spindle. Close this up, put this away, and you're all done. As with all current model Cobalts, the A29 swim platform features the patented Cobalt swim step, but the convenience doesn't end there. The A29 can also be equipped with the optional full beam hydraulic swim platform that lowers well below the water surface. Simply press and hold the platform down button located in the transom walkthrough control panel. An audible warning will sound, then the platform lowers. Please note this system is not designed to lift persons or gear into or out of the water. Well, those are the highlights of this new A29, Cobalt's newest and one of the more exciting new boat introductions that we've ever done. But just like all Cobalts, our focus is performance. And I'm not talking about speed, I'm talking about handling, rough water, all of that. That's what's important. And this Kobalt is no exception to the rule. It has the double dead rise hull, it has reverse chines, it has our extended running surfaces, which Kobalt brought to the market many, many years ago. It is a wonderful boat in the water. So thanks for your attention, and have a great day on the water with your new Kobalt.